Over the past few years, farmers throughout Britain have had a pretty tough time, and Mid Wales has been no exception. What with BSE and then foot and mouth, most farmers have had a very difficult time making ends meet. So what can they do to protect their livelihoods? Well, diversification might just be the answer. It's hard to believe that in an idyllic landscape like this, many farms are now facing an uncertain future. So what can farmers do to get through these times? Well, one answer is to diversify into new areas that will help provide a sustainable income.
Farm diversification can take many forms, but most rely on the tourist industry. So what attracts people to Mid Wales in the first place? There's the marvellous countryside, and its wildlife, walking, cycling, both on and off-road, a romantic history with the splendid Powys Castle dating back to the 13th century, and also the picturesque Montgomeryshire Canal.
And of course, one of the major attractions in the area is the world-famous Welshpool and Llanfair light railway.
Farmers can make additional income by providing the activities and accommodation that visitors want and, more importantly, will pay for. Under the banner of Montgomeryshire Rural Enterprises, over 20 farms have got together to try to safeguard their futures. Let's see how some of its members have diversified. One farmer thought that diversification was strictly for the birds, quite literally. In the wake of foot and mouth, sheep farmer Steve Smith now runs falconry holidays and demonstrations from his farm in Castle Carenion.
Foot and mouth's affected everybody in the whole of Montgomeryshire, but it hit you particularly badly, Steve.
Yeah, we were taken out here on Good Friday last year, if you can call it Good Friday. A neighbour, unfortunately, had had some deaths in his young lambs, called in the vets, and they diagnosed a positive foot and mouth. So all the neighbouring farms have taken as contiguous.
So that's when all your animals were put down?
Yeah, fortunately we had 80 pedigree Texel ewe lambs away, so we had a base from which to start again, and some commercial ewe lambs away from home, so that we were able to start with some stock.
So 2 years ago, all these empty buildings I can see behind us here would have been full of animals.
Yeah, well, we had the show sheep for that year in these buildings, hoping that they would be able to keep whatever happened, we would keep that stock. They were disinfected every day, the threshold was disinfected, and we pleaded to try to keep at least those, but we were unable to.
Now, since then, you've diversified in a most unusual way.
Yes, we're doing something a little bit different in that we're running falconry classes, and we've converted a building for accommodation.
Have you found that these are very popular?
Yes, surprisingly so, especially with locals. We mainly intended for tourists to come, but we're having quite a few locals.
Falconer Phil Turner has teamed up with Steve to show the public how marvellous the birds look in flight. This is a peregrine hybrid falcon, the fastest bird on the planet. As well as the falconry holidays, they also perform at country fairs and shows.
Incredibly warm weather for falcons.
As well as the Harris hawks and peregrines, they also work with owls, kestrels and buzzards.
Good lad.
Is it easier now that you kind of haven't got all your eggs in one basket?
Yeah, well, I think I would have done something different, whatever the state of farming. It I think the last thing you need to do is diversify if you need money. You need to take time, because obviously it's going to be maybe 3 years before we make any money from this. So if we were expecting to make money immediately, it's not going to happen. It's an investment for the future.
I love birds, and to be able to handle them and see them close up like this is just marvellous. If this is diversification, I'm all for it. Now let's go and see what the other farmers are up to. Here at Newbridge Dairy Farm in Myford, John and Adrian Williams have recently converted a farm building into 2 self-catering cottages. Staying here is a great way of seeing a working farm in action.
Adrian, this wonderful cottage is obviously part of your diversification.
Yes, yes it is. Yeah, we're quite pleased now we've finished it. Took us a while, but we got there.
And you advertise not only for families, but for fishermen as well. Why is that?
Because the river's very close by, we've got several stretches. We've got both the rivers Banwy and Vyrnwy very close here to here, and quite good fishing, so they tell me. So we thought tie the both in, really.
This is Jim Finley from the Wirral. He's a regular on this stretch of the River Vyrnwy.
It's great to come down for the fishing, the beauty, peace and quiet. There's lots of fish in the river, various varieties from trout, salmon, grayling, chub, dace. Recently I've seen otters, kingfishers. There's lots of wildlife about, even if the fish aren't to be caught.
Do you find now then that you get mainly families, or do you get a mixture of families and
Yeah,
fishermen?
we get a mixture really. It depends on the time of the year. I think fishermen tend to come out of season and they come for sort of long weekends or midweek breaks. Some come for a week, but the families come sort of during the holiday season, obviously, you know.
And have you got any other attractions here?
Yes, we have the milking parlour. We've got a special stand they can go and watch. You know, not in the way, they're quite safe, so you know they can watch the milking.
John and Adrian have a commercial dairy herd of 90 Friesians. Twice a day, guests can have a front row seat as John milks the cows. The farm has been in John's family for over 40 years.
We've also got a games room and an utility room, so we've got all the mod cottons, as it were.
What pushed you down this line in the first place?
Oh, we just felt that farming wasn't generating enough income really to keep us both at home. I mean, I go out to work part-time, but the idea of this was that I could be at home was more than having to go out full-time really, you know, because there's quite a lot to do on the farm, even though perhaps the income isn't there. And so far it's doing all right. It's quite slow to take off, but I'm sure it will now.
And if you hadn't gone down this line, would you still be in business now, would you think?
Probably, but it would be quite tough, because I did go out to work full-time, but we found it was too hard really with family as well. And I've got to think of the boys. We've got 3 boys, and you know, hopefully there'll be something here for them to carry on maybe, but as it wasn't an option really.
Many farms have converted stables, barns and outbuildings into holiday accommodation. The type of accommodation may vary, but they're always in lovely settings. This newly renovated cottage provides extra income for a farm near Montgomeryshire. A good example of a barn conversion is here at Lower Freeth, a pedigree sheep and cattle farm near Carsws. The work has been carried out by John and Janet Evans.
Well, we've been doing bed and breakfast in the house now for about 6 years, and we've converted this old barn into 2 self-catering rooms. There was a lovely old oak crook frame inside it, and it's made 2 lovely one bedroomed, and the other one's a 2-bedroomed unit.
Prior to conversion, they described the barn as a bit of an eyesore, but with the help of some funding, they've created something special. But is it all working out?
It's a bit early to tell at the moment. As I say, it's only been finished this last 6 months, and we need to really do some marketing now for next year to get it shown around the country. I wish there was more attractions that would generate a lot more, as I say, tourists into the area really. I feel it is essential to look at diversification, but I do advise people to carefully do their homework on which area they want to diversify into.
Meet Glyn Roberts, a dairy farmer from Montgomeryshire. What area has he chosen?
We diversified by establishing a small touring caravan park. It's virtually up and running. All the main services are on site. The main reason why we've diversified is to keep our standard of living the same and keep our income on par to what it was prior to BSE and after that foot and mouth.
Glyn's included a grassy area in the park where people can pitch their tents.
If it were to take off, I'd look to make it much larger and do more of it. I would definitely recommend doing something to try and keep your position as you were before the downturn in farming.
Where would farming be without cooking and eating? At Porth Farm near Carsws, Lavinia Vaughan gives cookery demonstrations in a house which dates back to the 15th century. She always uses locally grown ingredients in her recipes.
I diversified because of my real passion for food, wanting to share my skills and pass on my skills to other people. And there's no nicer way than sharing company than with people and food. Food is the kernel of our life.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Porth. I'm going to demonstrate today a lamb dish for the barbecue because we have this lovely weather and I think we need to make most use of our local produce. So here I've got a pound of lamb mince, which I'm going to put into the processor.
I do cookery demonstrations and tutorials for local groups and tourist groups, weekends and mini breaks as well.
Right, I think that's whisked enough, yes, but it's still very moist, okay?
So if you were making a pavlova, would you put that on paper?
Yes, I would turn out my pavlova onto the paper on a baking tray.
I have a real passion for food, which I want to share with everyone else. I love sharing food, and here in Montgomeryshire we have such high quality local food.
Lavinia's belief and passion for Montgomeryshire's high quality meat and organic food has now whet the appetite of a leading supermarket chain. They're currently looking at ways of bringing her dishes to the mouths of millions. Watch this space.
Some farms have taken to the saddle and now offer riding courses and holidays. Here at Aberbechan near Newtown, on an organic farm, even youngsters can learn how to ride and look after a pony for a weekend.
Meet Brian and Karen Bebb and their son George. As well as the riding courses, they also break and stable horses for clients from all over the country.
Karen, what made you diversify in the first place?
Our farm income was getting less and less. We found out that in the bank that we seem to be getting more and more overdrawn, still working really hard. So we just looked at other things that we could do with the resources that we had.
But why choose horses and horse riding?
It's always been my passion. It's been something I've loved and always wanted to do a bit more with it. So it was just ideal, really.
And if you were still farming, the amount of money coming in just wouldn't be enough now?
No, nowhere near.
And has it been successful?
Yes, very successful. We've really enjoyed it. And we've got quite a lot of horses still waiting to come and people phoning all the time. So yeah, it's been really successful.
You had to do a fair bit of work along here, Brian.
Yes, we had to do something to a lot of these buildings. They were derelict and unsafe, so by doing them up, we're getting an income back as well from them and keeping the traditional buildings.
Other than these horses, what else have you done?
We upgraded the farm to organic status a few years ago. Within the last 18 months, we've diversified into organic free-range chickens, which is a successful enterprise. We have 1,000 laying birds in 2 sheds. That keeps us busy. We're on a contract and the eggs go to Waitrose.
And all of this means that you're now making enough money, whereas before you'd have had a hard time.
Yeah, it's meant that we can carry on farming and help us keep the family farm going, really. That's the idea of it. And make use of old buildings which otherwise would become derelict.
And I assume bringing people in to work.
Yeah, we've got at least 5 or 6 horses here to work and break at the moment, and they're coming in from different areas, which creates work for us and for others, such as blacksmiths and people like that.
So to diversify, you need to do your homework and find a gap in the market. Here at Bluebell Park near Llanerville, they found a hole in the market and filled it quite literally with hundreds of coarse fish. It's run by Mary and Barry Morris.
Hello, Bluebell
While
Park.
Mary takes a booking, Barry does some stock taking, helped by one of their 3 sons, 6-year-old Aaron.
We diversified because we found there's no future in farming for us. We also did some market research of our visitors to the area, and we found that there was a demand for our activities, one namely being fishing and walking. And we have 3 sons, and we hope that there'll be a future for them in our project. The lake has been constructed so it's got a depth of 5 foot on the perimeters and its depth of 10 foot in the centre. It's been well stocked with a mixture of coarse fish, ranging from your carp, tench, roach, rudd, bream and some chub. And there are some specimens of each one. The pegs that the fishermen fish from have been constructed from our locally felled oak, and the shrubs and trees around that's been planted, 2,500 in total, are all native trees to suit the countryside.
I pass along this Wellspool Road quite often, and I noticed when he was first digging it out, you know, it was going to be a coarse fishing lake, and there's not many coarse fishing lakes around this area. Fishing's excellent, facilities are excellent, so I'll probably be coming again.
In the semi-ancient woodland behind the lake, they're creating a series of walks and a picnic area, due for completion in spring 2003.
We had some financial assistance from Welsh Office and from the European funding. And it's been a great help to have the funding, but it is essential that it is given to us when we need it.
So, would Mary recommend diversification to other farmers?
I would, and I hope that what we've done here would be an inspiration to other farmers. But it is a very hard road, it is very difficult, and you have to be very brave and courageous to take on something that is very challenging.
The modern day farm horse is the quad bike, and here at Madian Quads near Machynlleth, everybody can have a go. Well, and that was great fun. What made you go down this line in the first place?
Well, I've always loved bikes and quad bikes, and I thought do something that I really enjoy doing. So we decided to go down this line, really. I don't like horses that much, so I thought instead of pony trekking, I'd do quad trekking instead.
And it's worked for you?
Yes, we've been busy. We've got 10 bikes now and 2 people working for us full time, and yeah, we're quite busy at the moment.
So you're actually bringing in work for local people then?
Yes, we've got 2 full-time workers here and about 8 part-time in the holidays. So yes, they're all local people, and we train them for the first aid, and yes, it's nice to see local people working here.
Would you recommend diversification to other farmers?
Yes, I would recommend it, but it's a big risk when you start off, whatever venture you start off with. It's not for everybody, but as farming is going at the moment, people have got to think about something else to do on the farm. It's hard work, but yes, it is working at the moment. 4 years now we've been doing it, and it's nice to see people coming back that have been here from the beginning, really.
So there are a few examples of how farmers have diversified in Montgomeryshire. If you think it'll work for you, make sure you do your market research and also identify any grants or funding available. It probably won't be easy, and the returns might not be quick, but in the long run, it may just be your best bet.
Well, I've had a wonderful time visiting all these Montgomeryshire farms, some great people and wonderful scenery. I just feel I need a little bit more practice on this. See you later.